Hello again, my friends, all over the world, wherever you are. William Poloniak here again from Whole Health Foundation. And in today's juice, I'm going to be making a spine cord rejuvenation juice, an anti-inflammatory juice, predominantly with onion tops, lamb's quarters, and a few other ingredients. Let's look at my ingredients. In addition to my lamb's quarters, which is usually considered a weed, but it's very delicious in salads and in juice. In addition to the lamb's quarters, the onion tops, I'm putting in red Swiss chard, collard greens, celery, and about 150 grams of turmeric. So let's make some juice, but first I'm going to give you a few tips. Before I start making juice, I want to point out a few tips. I'm using the new near zero blowback cutter and the front loading feed tube, and because of those two innovations, shredding the produce is much more effective, and you're going to be tempted to put in more produce than you really should. Now everyone probably knows the adage less is more that most mothers tell their daughters when they're using makeup. You use less makeup because it's more effective in attracting the opposite sex. The same thing is true of produce. If you use less produce in your feed tube, it's going to shred more effectively. If you use a lot more, it's going to jam your cutter. So whether you're using a feed tube that's straight up and down, like the original stock feed tube, or the front loading feed tube, you want to process less produce. So as usual, I'm going to plug in my thermometer, and I'm going to begin by putting 3 ice cubes in the feed tube to cool down the feed tube and the cutter. Now I'm going to start with red Swiss chard, and remember, you want a small clump, not a large clump. Less is more. Now that's just like a hot knife through butter. You can see what a great job the near zero cutter's doing. So I'm going to take a couple of collard leaves, put in a little bit of turmeric. Turmeric is an excellent anti-inflammatory ingredient. Now I want to point out, whenever you do greens, to clean your grid often. We'll put the grid in and continue. This time I'm going to put in celery, but I'm going to put in about half the amount I normally would, because celery is very fibrous. Rotate your bowl. Let's put in the rest of the celery. Now I want to point out again that because the near zero blowback cutter and the front loading feed tube is more effective, you're going to be tempted to put more produce through, but don't do that. Less is more. Put less produce through rather than more produce, and your whole shredding operation is going to be much more effective. So now for some onion tops. Now I'm going to clean my grid, and then I'm going to add about 50% carrots. Now that I've done my greens, I'm going to add carrots, but I'm also going to put in a burdock root, otherwise known as gobo root, 1 beet, half a head of garlic, an avocado pit, and about twice the ginger I would normally use. Now before I feed in the burdock root, I'm going to put in a couple of carrots to clear all of the greens out of the juicer. There's another little tip I'm giving you, is when you're finished with your greens, put in a couple of carrots, clean your grid, and then put the rest of your produce through. I'm going to start with my burdock root. pit. Oh, I see a little dirt on there, so I'll cut that off. Now, avocado pits are very, very dense, so feed it through very slowly. Here's the last one right here. Here's another little tip. With the front-loading feed tube, every so often you get a little liquid that forms down here. And the way you solve that problem is to feed in a carrot, but don't use the pusher, so that the pulp will come out the top, and then you can put the pulp down at the bottom to absorb the liquid and then push it back through. You would put in your carrot very, very slowly. Allow the pulp to come out and push it around the bottom to absorb the liquid and then force it through. Now, because I'm down to my last carrot, there's always a plug of produce in here, so put in some carrot pulp and force that last plug through. And the next step is to clean the grid, the cutter, the feed tube, mix your produce and make some juice. The next step, as always, is to mix your produce and rotate your bowl in both directions so that you get a really good mix. And then we're going to put this into the cloths and make some juice. I'm going to put 3 ladles full of pulp in each cloth and press 2 cloths full at once. You get better pressure that way. And in this video I'm going to demonstrate again how the Whole Health Foundation model juicer can make 10% more juice because we have a premium bottom plate on the juicer. So 3 ladles full, fold it into thirds like so. Now we'll put the juice tray in. Collection bowl. Put our first 2 cloths full of pulp in the tray. Make sure your tray is on the press plate properly, centered left to right, centered front to back, adjusted if necessary, all the way back, back it off a little bit. And continue making more cloths full of pulp. Here's my 6 cloth less work method. This goes forward, this goes over, the spent cloths go on top. 2 more cloths go in the press, centered left to right, centered front to back. You notice how easy it is to reach in here and center it. Centering it is very important. All the way back, back it off a little bit. Now normally, if I had a larger batch of juice, I would put this pulp back into the bowl to absorb the juice that's in there. But what I'm going to do now is put 2 scoops, not 3, on top of the existing spent pulp. Fold it into another package as tight as possible. The tighter the better. Flatten it, set it aside. And as I said, normally I would crush this and put it in the bowl, but we have such a small batch, we'll just put 2 new scoops of pulp on top of the spent pulp. And on your last cloth, you advance that all the way. Here's my 6 cloth less work method again. This goes forward, this goes over, the spent cloths go on top. 2 more cloths in the press. Again, centered left to right, centered front to back, all the way back, back it off a little bit. Now because we've got juice in the bowl, I'm going to very carefully pour this into the collection bowl. Then we'll continue putting 2 more scoops on top of the spent pulp. This goes forward, that goes over. Now because my collection container is full, I'm not going to press these last 2 sets of cloths yet. What I'm going to do is put the spent cloths on top, put this tray back, not a little, but a lot so it's obvious. Believe me, if you put it back only a little bit, you will forget. put it back a lot so it's very obvious. And let's put this into some bottles. I'm filling this from the back side so the camera gets a better view. And again, leaving about 10% to add water. Let's make some more juice. I'm going to pull my tray forward, put 2 cloths in the press, all the way back it off a little bit. Now what I'm going to do with the spent cloths, I'm going to form it into a tighter package and press again to demonstrate to you how we can get 10% more juice using the Whole Health Foundation Premium Model Juicer. I'm going to fold this under 2 or 3 times. Look at my folding technique. And that's to minimize slippage, and we'll do that in both directions. Turn it upside down, flatten that, and set it aside. Now as you can see, I've repackaged all the spent pulp into 3 tighter packages, and what I'm going to do now is use a measuring beaker to see how much extra juice we can get using the Whole Health Foundation Premium Model Juicer. So 2 packages inside, centered left to right. This is very, very important. Centered front to back, reach in there and adjust it if you can, all the way back it off a little bit. Another method you can use is to put it all the way forward and watch for juice flow. And as soon as you get juice flow, back it off a little bit. We want this to go up slowly. And as soon as you get traction between the 2 cloths, advance it all the way. Now there's 10 ounces of juice. Now rather than wait for every last drop, I'm going to stop the video here so the video's not too long, or stop the clip here, and that is. Pour this into the collection bowl and fill more bottles. Now I'm topping this off with either filtered water or distilled water. I use distilled water because I have a water distiller. It looks like we've got 7 bottles of juice plus enough for a taste test. One of the last steps is to wash your cloths with cold water to wash off the pulp. Fold them, put them back in the press, press the water out, and then put them in a plastic bag into the freezer. Once you get all the water out, put the cloths into a plastic bag and then put them into the freezer. Now in this session, making a small batch of spine cord rejuvenation and anti-inflammatory juice. I got 7 bottles, and remember, more than one of these bottles was the processed pulp from the already spent pulp, and I have enough for a taste test. So let's do a taste test. Alright my friends, here we have the spine cord rejuvenation and anti-inflammatory juice that I made today, and I'm going to taste it. Delicious. I can definitely taste the turmeric, a little bitterness from the greens, and I can taste the onion and the lamb's quarters. I hope you like what you've seen. I hope you find my videos helpful, and if you do, please tell a friend. If you'd like to call me, my phone number is 760-753-0321. My email address is developtrust@cox.net, and my webpage is wholehealthfound.com. Here's to your health.